Welcome everyone to the Sunday Staff Debrief, where every week we chat about various diving topics. I'm your host, Nicole, and as always, I'm joined by our panel, Juicy.
Good evening.
And Rich.
Hey.
And our special guest this week is the one and only Daniela Mejia. She is the Executive Director of the Utila Coral Foundation. Welcome, Danny.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
I'm really excited to have Danny here tonight as our guest. Her and I have worked closely together for several years at Utila Dive Center, managing the shop together, managing the Dive Master program. So I'm really excited to have you here tonight, Danny. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Danny, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I'm from Honduras, and that's quite a rarity around here. I got to Utila about 8 years ago. I came to Utila with the purpose of actually becoming involved in marine conservation on the island. And to do that, I decided to become a PADI dive instructor. So that was the purpose for me coming here. And I've been living on Utila for the past 8 years. I worked as a dive instructor for a while. Actually, UDC is where I trained and where I grew professionally for a lot of years, like Juicy mentioned. And for the past 5 years, I've been involved with the Utila Coral Foundation.
Amazing. And Juicy, what was it like working with Danny?
Working with Danny is incredibly fun. Her and I both have an affinity for curse words, so we express ourselves in that way often. We work really well together. There was a time when, due to people moving on and staff changes and things, that Danny and I were running the Dive Master program together, just the two of us. Historically, this has been done by 4 or 5 people, so we were really putting in the extra time and having a really fun time and doing what we always do at UDC, teaching great dive masters. But it was a serious effort by her and I, and that's really when I came back to Utila after years away, and I started working closely with Danny, and that's when we became such good friends and really worked together in such a good team, a small team. Most of the time it's 4 or 5 people doing this job, and we did it together for several months, and we had a blast, and that's kind of where our relationship developed, and we've been friends ever since.
Awesome. And what was your role here at UDC all those years ago?
Oh man, I really did everything, didn't I? So like I said, I started here. I actually trained all the way from advanced to staff instructor. And during that time, I was a head instructor, I was a dive master mentor, I also became the general manager later on. So I really did everything, and I really got to taste everything that the dive world offers. And working at such a professional place, it was a great place to get formation and also to actually train others and get to meet other people. So yeah, I loved it.
Danny and I joked a lot because we weren't really sure who was the general manager or the head instructor or what was going on. We were just like, let's just go to work and do our job and be the best we can be. And that's what we did for quite a few months and had a great time doing it.
But that's the best way. That's what I love about here as well, is that you have such a great team that it doesn't really matter what your job title is. Everyone kind of helps each other, and you back each other up when you need to.
We had tons of fun.
Great to hear. And where does the conservation aspect in your career come in? Did you do conservation work here at UDC? Where did that all start for you?
Actually, it did. So I started by writing a few specialties with my friend Gemma, who's no longer here on the island. But that became a program called the Go Eco program that is now being run at UDC. And it focuses on several aspects of conservation and basically teaching people the building blocks of fish identification, coral identification, sort of to get your feet wet about what is in our ecosystems, right? And with that as well, we sort of geared into coral restoration, which is its own different area that we were working on. And with coral restoration, we also developed our own specialties. One is called coral nursery maintenance, which is also taught here at UDC, and is sort of like the cornerstone of the project that we have at the moment.
Wow, that's incredible work. Here at UDC, we offer various conservation specialties for the Dive Master program. Rich, as someone who's very involved in the Dive Master program, how popular is the coral nursery specialty?
More popular than the one that I wrote, that's for sure. It's very popular. It's one of our most popular choices for dive masters to do, actually. That, along with the Caribbean Lionfish Containment Diver. Conservation is at the heart of everything we do here, along with our Go Eco program that's headed by Julio. Dive masters, they really start to get involved in the conservation efforts. It's so popular, in fact, that every other Friday, Julio takes a class and they go out and they perform maintenance on the coral nurseries. Yeah, it's a really fun thing that a lot of people get involved in.
Wow. And Danny, can you explain to us a little bit more about the coral nursery maintenance and what exactly they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So for coral nurseries, it's really important that we go out and we actually take care of the coral fragments that are hanging in there. So basically what people at UDC are helping us do, the dive masters and other students, not just dive masters, they come out and they actually clean the structures, thus removing predators and other kinds of things that grow on the trees that are harmful for the corals. So yeah, the maintenance also requires that they have knowledge of disease and that they have a little bit of knowledge about sort of the dangers that corals face, so that if they see anything happening in the coral nursery, they're able to report back. And so it's not just about cleaning, it's also about learning to gauge coral health as well.
And how do they clean the trees?
Oh, you know, it's NASA-rated instruments. No, just
Toothbrushes.
kidding. Yes, exactly.
I've been lucky to do it on a few occasions and learn about this specialty. And yeah, you go out and you're scrubbing algae off the trees using various types of brushes and things like that. I'm sure Danny can elaborate a little more, but yeah, it's really interesting and really fun. And
Yeah.
if you like tedious work, like sweeping the tarp or something like that, then it's a good task for you.
That's great. And so do you collect these toothbrushes from, say, like beach cleanups?
Actually, we do. A lot of them are donated from people that are leaving the island, and you know they don't want to take their
Oh.
toothbrush with them.
Okay.
But a lot of them are collected from beach cleanups because you know a lot of them wash up on shore here. So we have an endless supply, which is a good and bad thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what is it you do with the coral? Obviously, you don't just hang there forever. Like, what happens after you know they've propagated and they can be
Yeah.
a bit more grown up?
Yeah. So we take coral from the reef and then we break it down into smaller pieces, and that's what we hang on our trees. And then after about 9 to 12 months of being there, they've reached a size that's proper for them to then be returned to the reef. And so we basically just paste them on the reef again. We use this epoxy, which is a 2-part marine epoxy that hardens over time. And so then the coral will grow over that epoxy, thus securing itself on the basis of the reef. But yes, they don't stay there forever. The idea is that they, like a nursery, you know, you spend some time there while you're growing up, and then once you're grown, you're off into the world. Yeah.
And we keep saying trees, but what do these trees look like? What are they made of?
They are made of PVC, so it's material that's available on the island, easily available, and also not that expensive because, you know, we rely on funding and other sources of income. But yeah, they look just like a Christmas tree without the leaves, if you will. So it's just a backbone with some branches coming out. And yeah, the fragments hang like Christmas ornaments.
So, Juicy, you've had some experience cleaning the coral nurseries. Have you had any experience actually outplanting the corals?
I haven't had that opportunity yet. I'm looking forward to this November. Danny's informed me that there's going to be a big outplanting project that I hope to get involved in. If I'm not too busy teaching, then I'll get out there and learn how to do that part of the process as well, because the cleaning process has been really fun. So I'm looking to learn more about the outplanting as well.
So, Danny, this outplanting event that's happening in November, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, actually. So the event is called Mania, and it's a simultaneous outplanting event that takes place in several countries in the Caribbean. Last year it was Honduras, Dominican Republic, and Costa Rica. They all got together and we planted coral, and it's supposed to help us break records as well for how many corals get planted at the same time. So this year we're hoping to invite more countries and scale up what we already did last year. But yes, it should be really exciting and we should be breaking more records.
Amazing. And Rich, how can other divers who are interested in conservation get involved in the coral nursery?
Well, it's really easy actually. The prerequisites are advanced open water. Like Danny said earlier, she came here to UDC as advanced open water, and you know, look what she's managed to achieve over her time here. So that's one of the things that you can do. You can get right involved in the coral nursery program, but also the Go Eco. It's the same prerequisite, advanced open water. And a lot of people, once they really get a flavour for conservation, they can see the good they can do within the dive industry and the world more generally, and they tend to want to continue their education and potentially even go on to start teaching these things as well afterwards. So that's really how other people can start getting involved, yeah.
And Danny, you founded Utila Coral Foundation. What was your inspiration?
Well, as a Honduran, I feel like it's my responsibility to take care of the beautiful reefs that we have in our country. And I've been connected to the ocean for many years since I was a little girl, and I've seen sort of the deterioration of the reefs over time. And upon learning about coral restoration and how this was a practice that was being implemented across the Caribbean, I just knew that Utila could benefit from this as well. So that was the inspiration for starting what was first a project and has now become an NGO.
Rich, you've been diving and teaching all over the world for many years. How much more emphasis have you seen instructor candidates place on conservation efforts?
Quite a lot, to be honest. When I first got into the industry, conservation was like a hot topic, but it was more like a bubbling under the surface topic. Now we see it first and foremost with a lot of people. A lot of people come to us to become instructors, and they want to be involved in conservation efforts. They want to get involved in Paddy Aware, they want to do programs like Danny's, the Go Eco, and the Coral Nursery maintenance, and it's a huge thing. And a lot of people want to get involved with the conservation side of things to really make a difference. Instructors are the #1 ambassadors for the underwater world. We get to introduce people to a whole new world and what they've never seen before, and we want to protect that world and allow people to see our children, our grandchildren, to see all of the wonderful things that we can see. When I first came to Utila, I was really heartened by the level of conservationism that was undergoing here. The Go Eco program, the specialties that Danny wrote along with Gemma, but just the drive to see people really going out. Every time there's a beach cleanup, which is an integral part of our Dive Master program, we ask them all to get involved with the beach cleanup, and they love doing it. And you should see when there's tons of trash, there's 400-500 pounds lined up outside of UDC. We actually have a scale dedicated just to that thing. And then when there's an underwater cleanup, somebody will arrange it, and all of a sudden you need 2 boats because there's so many people want to get involved. The passion for conservation is huge, and it's really heartening to see that that's the way the industry is going.
Danny, how can people get involved in your project?
So as an NGO that's dedicated to reef restoration, we obviously always need divers to help us with the actual underwater work. So if you're a diver already, or if you want to get certified and you want to learn more about the restoration efforts, you can sign up for our specialties. You can do trainings like the Go Eco program here at UDC. But if you're not a diver, that's really easy. All we need is for you to get educated on the hot topics that are happening about the reef. And as always, you can donate either your time or your money to the noble causes.
Thank you everyone for joining this week's episode of the Sunday Staff Debrief. Thank you to Juicy and Rich. And special thank you to Danny.
Thank you, guys.
Make sure you join us next week for another interesting topic. Please help us grow our channel by
Like our video.
Subscribe to the channel.
And leave a comment below.
See you all next week.
Oh my God, if I